Good evening, Fernwood. It is your Epicurean epigrammatist, Neil, and it's time for us to watch another potentially epic episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. Today we are watching episode 205 from January 14th, 1977. That is the 75th episode of season 2. It's the end of week 15. I can't imagine what will happen today. But let's take a look at yesterday, and that might give us some clues. We began with the Gimbels just seconds after the previous episode, with Garth timing Patty after he threatened to kill her. Patty just wants to understand Garth's mind, and she doesn't care for her own life. And Garth gives the broad details of his own family abuse, that his father beat his mother beat him, and Garth thinks that Pat can't understand being beaten for no reason. Though, of course, Pat definitely does. And Pat sees some pain inside of Garth that she would love to comfort away, but Garth continues to be angry and heightens the violence, and Pat says that we are leaving. Philip and I are going to leave you. And at this point, Garth pulls Patty toward the closet and says, "You're going to stay in there," and he locks her in. Philip calls out, and he comes down, and it's clear that he knows that his mother is locked in the closet. And we come up on a mournful Bryan Adams, who is surprised at himself for having feelings for Christine, who died earlier this week while Kathy was giving childbirth. There's a ruckus in the hallway, and it's George, who is angry as all get out, and makes clear that he wants that baby. And he makes clear that he will make sure that the elder Mr. Adams will find out that the baby is a Shumway. Then we jump over to the Hartman residence, where Tom is trying to figure out what to do with his afternoon. He tries to fix a toaster oven, but struggles with it, mostly because he's frustrated about everything else in his life. He's still disappointed that he's not an executive. And Mary makes clear that she doesn't want any of that. That she just wants the house over her head and for Heather to be happy. And with that, Tom says that he will settle and take the job back at the factory. Then Mary presents him with a gift that is his old jacket and cap. And then we get a song and dance number from Lulu over at Lou's place. Lulu's got her fancy new outfit, but wants more, and even wants Lou to sell the diner so she can have more. And at the mention of this, it looks like Lou's heart is breaking, and that's where we end our episode. Well, everyone, it's the end of week 15, as I said earlier. Let's find out what happens.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman! Gardening from the garbage. Okay, let's see. Garbage can be useful and also add to your aesthetic enjoyment.
It's Clemens, Mrs. Hartman, from the Fernwood Courier.
Oh, hi.
Hi. Whew. It's quite a breakfast.
Yeah. Listen, sit down.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Did you know, Mr. Clemens, this is very interesting. Did you know that you can make a garden from your garbage? I mean, now, is that interesting or isn't it?
Actually, Mrs. Hartman, I came here to interview you for the paper. I'd like to get your views on the Olinsky reports.
Oh, and you need to interview me?
Well, no, actually, I was going to interview a lot of women, but you're the only one I found at home.
Oh. Well, lucky me.
Yeah?
Listen, could you do me a favor, though? While we interview, could you help me with my garbage?
Sure.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Let me ask you another question. How do you feel about the Olinsky reports?
The basis for this report, the quintessence of this report, is garbage. Now, I don't know, maybe it's because I've been working in it all morning,
What do you mean?
Well, I just think, sex and garbage, there's a link.
Ah. How does your husband feel about all this?
Well, he seemed to like the garbage this morning.
No. I mean, what was his response to the Alinsky reports?
Oh. Well, he threw it in the garbage.
Ah. What do you think about foreplay is fair play?
Well, I think that foreplay is important, and I think that it starts in the kitchen and it ends in the garbage. I mean, like you take a pop-up toasty.
No thanks, I'm full.
No, I didn't mean that. You take up a pop-up toasty, okay? And you just pop it in your toaster, and there it is. You've got your breakfast, right? So the toasty makers, they've done all the foreplay for you. I mean, all you do is eat it, right?
Mrs. Hartman, I think you're missing the point.
Am I?
How does your husband feel about all this?
Oh, well, he loves the blueberry toasties. They've always been his favorite.
Good. Well, thank you. Whew. Hey. Well, I have a lot of other interviews to get to, so I'll leave you with your farm.
Listen, have I been of any help?
Yes, I always learn so much from you.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I always enjoy talking to you so much. I really do.
Don't tell me, let me guess. Something's wrong.
Yeah, you might say something's wrong here. Where's that article? Yeah, here we go. First Lady of Fernwood pro-climax. Wanda Jeter today endorsed May Olinsky's soon-to-be published study revealing the sexual non-fulfillment of Fernwood females. Did you really say all those things?
Would the Fernwood Courier lie?
Gotta hope so, Wanda. I really do. I'd hate to think that I made it all the way up to Mayor to have my own wife blow me out of the tub.
Merle, I'll do the worrying about what or what doesn't blow which things. Okay, dear?
Is that right? You just remember one thing, Wanda. You're still my wife, dear.
No, dear. You remember. You're my husband. And just because God is in your corner doesn't mean all's right with the world.
Wanda, look. I've dedicated my whole life to bringing piety and clean living to the town of Fernwood.
Yes, dear, I've heard that speech.
Well, how do you expect me to keep a promise like that and then tolerate a wife who goes around talking to newspapers, spewing smut like this? Let me read you something else here. Let me read what your buddy there, Ms. Olinsky, said here here we go. No one disliked foreplay, uses the word foreplay. In fact, the only complaint mentioned about this phase of lovemaking was that it really doesn't last long enough.
No kidding.
That kind of stuff turns my stomach, Wanda. It's
Yes,
just...
Merle, it does mine too, but for different reasons. And I intend to do something about it. And if May's advance from the Distaff Publishing Company isn't enough to cover costs, we are going to make door-to-door collections, bake sales, and even a telethon. We are going to cure sex.
I knew it all the way along the line. I knew it when they left out the love, honor, and obey from the wedding ceremony. Something said to me right there, trouble, Merle, trouble. And that's what I've got. It's not bad enough. We have our little things back there in the bedroom behind those locked doors, trouble's back there and all of that. Now you got to bring it out, put it in a newspaper where all the public can see it.
Oh, Merle, if you would just try to understand what this Olinsky report is all
Wait,
about.
did you say understand?
Yeah.
You mean you understand this stuff?
Well, I certainly do.
From personal experience or what?
Or lack thereof.
That hurts, Wanda. You've hurt me. That hurts to the quick now.
Why? Because you're always satisfied? Merle, have you ever thought about me?
Wanda, of course I think about you from time to time, for Pat's sake.
Look, tell you what, Merle, why don't we continue this discussion a little later when I have more time, okay?
When you have more time?
Yeah.
You're a little short on
Yeah.
time, are you?
Yes, I am. I happen to be very busy organizing this publicity for the campaign. In fact, I'm on my way right now to the printers to check some copy on the
Great.
leaflets.
That's really wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you satisfy yourself on this little thing. I'm going to let you get your fill of this whole thing. I'm going to give you your head on this one here. You know that? And I just hope it'll satisfy you.
No, dear. It won't come close. Bye.
Well, Charlie, what do you think of the second installment of the Alinsky report there?
This is interesting stuff.
Yeah, a lot of the guys are kind of PDOD about it, you know?
I don't see anything to get upset about. The only thing I wish is that I had Loretta here to try some of this stuff out with. Yeah, you don't think she vanished on account of she was unfulfilled, do you?
Hey, Tom.
Hi, Tony.
Back on the line, huh?
Yeah, that's right.
You're out of that leisure suit crowd and sweating just like the rest of us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Well, gentlemen,
Hey, George.
just talked to the king, and I'm back on the line.
Hey, George. How'd it go?
Yeah, well, everything's back to normal. Same ugly face on the line.
Oh, listen to the jolly red-faced giant.
Hey, George.
Nice to see you, Charlie. Charlie, Tommy.
Garth Gimble, Antioch, 63.
Garth, nice to meet you.
Garth.
Garth. Well, anyway, I'm here to tell you fellas, after what I've gone through, there's nothing like having a good job and a good woman waiting for you at home. You know something? We're real lucky that we can bring home the bacon for the little woman to fry.
Yeah, you know, Mr. Chumway, that,
Shumway.
of course. I think these days the little ladies have a little bit more on their mind than frying bacon.
What are you talking about?
Well, you read, right? Have you taken a look at the new series in the Courier over here?
No, let me see it.
Show 'em, John.
What the? Who the hell? Oh, this is disgusting. This is dirt on filth. Get this quote. My husband is now well informed, but only after 9 years of marriage, I finally told him that my needs must be considered too. Ho, 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 ho. Get this one. Most of the men
Like that?
Most of the men I've known haven't seemed to be at all interested in what I considered stimulating. Stimulating. You know what she needs? Something that goes hee-haw. They were all so sure they knew what was best for me, I wish just once one of them would ask me what I want. What a crock that is.
Where's most of the men? What kind of woman answer that thing? Bunch of nymphos.
Wait a minute, my wife answered that.
Oh, listen to this one. My husband repairs watches for a living and whittles for a hobby. But when we're making love, you'd think he was a double amputee. A double amputee. I don't even know what the hell that means.
You think that's something, Mr. Chumway? You should see the one in there about the lady whose husband was a track star, and she says he's just as fast in bed as he was on the low hurdles. You should read that. It's really well written.
Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. We better get rid of this garbage in Fernwood.
Readying yourself for a skirmish in the ever-present battle of the sexes, Mr.
Skirmish, Mr. Garth? Skirmish?
Garth.
Garth? Now, I'm looking for a massacre. I'm going to tell you something. We're going to straighten this all out. I'm sick and tired of any of this so-called sex fulfillment stuff. You ready?
Yeah, you can't do it alone.
Well, I won't do it alone. We're going to organize a plan, and we're going to get him. You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you.
You're with me?
I wouldn't miss it for the world.
You're with me?
I'll be there, too. I wouldn't miss it for the world out. Where?
We meet at the Capri, and we make a plan. You dig me?
Jelly, jelly, jelly. I need some jelly today. Do, 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 do. Ow! Ooh, jelly, jelly, jelly. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I swear.
I need some jelly.
Miss Lulu gives out her long howl, the tomcats come out of the room.
Oh, goodness.
Where's old man at?
He's out buying me some fishnet stockings.
Good.
What time is it?
It's 2:45.
No wonder there's nobody in the place.
Except you and me. Listen, now he's out. It's a good time for us to get to know each other. You know, it's kind of bizarre, but we really don't know each other at all.
That's the way I like it, Mac. You know, when you get to know somebody too good, it kind of takes the pizzazz out of stuff. You know, the fizz off the top, sort of.
I swear, Miss Lulu, you got the most alluring and feminine way of saying things. I mean, even when you pretend that you don't want to talk about yourself, I know it's out of just pure shyness. I mean, when you say it, though, it comes out almost sounding mysterious.
Mysterious, huh? Why don't you just guess about me?
Guess about you?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you're a hell of a swimmer. I mean, with them muscles in your arms and your legs and your lungs and everything. I bet you're a high school cheerleader too, huh? I mean, with your voice, you're a natural. Not to mention your perky personality.
Is that it? I mean, that's all you can come up with? Perky cheerleader with strong breaststroke? Well, bounce your eyeballs on this, baby. Don't you believe you could come up with something just a little bit better?
Yeah, you're the best. I mean, you're the best, Lulu. You're the best I ever seen.
How do I know that that's the truth, sweet lightning?
Lulu, I swear I love you.
How the hell are you going to prove that?
I want you to marry me.
Oh, thank you, George.
Uh-huh.
After all these years of being married, this is the first time you ever offered to help, let alone do it. Oh, George, I'm so happy you're back.
Uh-huh.
You know, we may have taken each other for granted before, but now we're just like newlyweds, aren't we?
Uh-huh.
And we're going to have our second chance. And we both should be determined never to take each other for granted again. Right, George?
Uh-huh.
Is that why you're helping me, George?
Well, I'll tell you the truth, Martha. I put on a lot of pounds the last couple of weeks. You've been shoving a lot of starch in my face, you know.
Meat is very expensive, George.
Yeah, I know. And maybe I need this exercise, because without exercise, I could have a heart attack and drop dead.
Speaking of dropping dead, I wish you two would hurry so we could get to see my granddaughter and my great-grandson before I croak.
Well, I wish you two would not joke about death after what has happened. Oh, it's so strange how tragedy can creep in and taint something as joyous as the birth of Kathy's baby.
Here today and gone tomorrow.
Just like us, huh, sort of. Here we are, around the table here, we're all sitting, and tomorrow we may be sitting in a snowbank. But we have a few more days, so maybe we can figure something out.
Oh, hi, Ma. Hi, Grandpa. Oh, hi. Oh, Pa. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. It's just that for months I got used to you not being here, and it's just hard to get used to being back again, that's all. Did you have dinner yet?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. If I knew you were coming, I would have saved you something. Here, sit down. But Lord knows, we didn't have that much.
So no dinner?
Oh, who would have ever thought that my family would go hungry? I'll see what I can get you. Here, Mary.
Oh, thanks, Ma. Thanks very much. Thank you. I'll eat it later. Really, everything's fine. I'm not that hungry. You know, I feel so much better now that Tom's gone to work back at the plant. And, you know, it looks like we'll get out of debt and all that.
Oh, it is so nice to have my family all sitting here again. It's so nice, and we can have a nice, pleasant talk, an after-dinner talk. Why don't you start being pleasant, Mary?
Oh, well, let's see. Tom's not very happy about going back to the line. Maybe you could talk to him, Daddy. Maybe you could tell him that everything's going to be okay.
Oh, sure I could. But I won't. I'm sorry if he doesn't like going back to a hard day's work. Any man who shirks his job and is ashamed of his job should be ashamed of himself.
Thank you, Daddy. So what are you going to do about the mortgage payment?
I'll work that out. I'll work overtime. I'm not afraid of working.
I'm thinking about going back to work again.
Oh, God.
I'm sure that director will give me very good references. You know, the one I did the police training films for?
I'm sure.
I'm going to recheck on my safety deposit box in case there's any stocks or bonds or uncut diamonds in there that I forgot about.
Oh, God.
It's been 20 years since I opened it. Not since I opened it to rewrite the will to mention Kathy. I didn't leave her anything, but I did want to mention her.
Listen. Shh. Listen.
What?
Nothing. That's the point. You know, it has been very quiet at the Gimbel's house nearly all day long.
I wonder how she is. I haven't seen her for a while, Pat. I really need her help with the Mayolinski report.
Oh, you're not working with her, are you? Did you read today's newspaper? What is with this Olinsky lady? She thinks that she can con everybody in town, doesn't she? Well, I got news for her. She's not going to con George Shumway. Research my poor sore rear. She's nothing but a deviated prevert.
Oh, I didn't know that. If I had known that, I would have not filled out that questionnaire. No, but it seemed so scientific to me.
You mean to tell me that you went and helped her write that pornography?
Oh, no, that's not pornography, Dad. It's more like the National Enquirer, the new one.
Oh, I suppose you're on the list too, huh?
That stuff I read in the paper sure is not my idea of pornography.
Well, I'm telling you, I have never seen such dirt as I saw this morning in that Fernwood Courier.
I have.
Hey, listen, everybody, because happy days are here again. There's lots of...
Wonderful. What have you become, a drunk?
No, and I ain't about to. I tell you, it's true. A man's best friend is Ma Bell. I just got a telephone call. They found Loretta.
There you go.
Wonderful, darling.
That was a very different episode than I was expecting. We start with Harold Clemens at Mary's place. Mary seems to be composting or something. I'm not really sure what gardening from the garbage might be, but that's my guess. And Harold Clemens is a bit more comfortable with his questions about the Olinsky report. But Mary still isn't, or maybe it's being written for comedy, but also we know that Mary isn't comfortable with these questions. She gives answers that are really unclear and relates sex to garbage. And if I take it as compost, which, is just my brain, maybe not the writer's brain, but that's how I'm going to read it. If we take it as compost, then sex is kind of how things germinate and grow. Sex is the cycle. And we get a couple of scenes with the men of Fernwood being angered by this, or their various reactions. And this is a survey about women's sexual pleasure, but also, given the straight bias of the Olinsky report, it's seen that men are the ones that need to be responsible. And in this case, Merle is the one who is feeling insulted. And he felt insulted at talking to May Alinsky when he first met her, and it's gone from insult to outrage. And outrage that, first of all, the topic is being brought up because he's, a Christian politician, but even more outrage that Wanda is involved. Merle doesn't understand this, and he takes for granted that he's been a good sexual partner, which clearly is the entire point of the Alinsky report, to point out to men that they aren't paying attention to their partners, which I think could be fair, and I don't really know how that goes in same-sex male relationships. The big cliche about sex, maybe it's not a cliche, but the big there's a mode, right, that men take care of their own pleasure and don't worry about their partner's pleasure, and that's what's getting brought up here. And Merle takes offense and is getting outraged. He doesn't know that that's how he is perceived in his own bedroom. And then we take this back to the factory where most of the men of the town work, and that would be Charlie and Tom and Garth and George. And Tom is clearly not happy to be there, and with good reason. George is elated to be back on the line. But most of the conversation is about how smutty the Alinsky report is just for existing as a series of questions. And I'm glad that there's at least one man who feels like this is okay to talk about. That his sex life with Loretta, though completely non-existent at this point, was closer to being satisfactory. And I feel like Charlie and Loretta had a very satisfactory sex life. They were very happy with it. And the only reason that it's not happening now is because Loretta has lost her memory and has an alternate identity now. George is very typically outraged. And strangely, Garth advocates for the women having more on their mind, but that's really more for George to bounce off of and say how pornographic the discussion is. All we're seeing is women's perspectives that he reads, and him reacting like it's disgusting that their husbands aren't paying attention to them. I guess a revolt is being planned. And then we take a breather from the Alinsky report and head back down to Lou's. Lou is away buying fishnet stockings, and Matt comes down, and we realize how little Lulu and Mac actually know each other, and Mac tries to make guesses about what Lulu's life is like. And Lulu has no idea what her life is like. She didn't exist until about a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. In terms of episodes, it's only been a couple of weeks that we've known her. And she's completely different from Loretta, so we don't really know her at all. But Mac tries to get to know her and then takes it farther and gets down on one knee. And that's a question that will need to be addressed. And then we head back to the Shumways, and it's really about the family getting to know each other again after George's return. And in this case, George is following Martha around a little bit unusually, actually helping with the housework. And I wonder if that's because he's trying to please his wife somehow, subconsciously. It's not really stated why he's quite so attentive in this case, or at least I missed it if it was. If you know why he's being so attentive, then feel free to share. This is about catching up with the family and getting back together. Grandpa comes in and Mary shows up. They are all just figuring out what's going on, and clearly George is still angry about the Alinsky report, and Mary's involved in it, at least to a certain extent. She's filled out the survey. And then Charlie pops in with an announcement that we haven't seen anything about, but that Loretta has been found. And it makes me wonder what happened after Mac asked her to marry him, which I suppose we will have to wait to find out. So everyone, that was episode 75 of season 2. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts and feelings in the comments. Thank you for being here with me on this potentially epic episode. And we will see you next week in Fernwood.